The problem with Labour's NHS argument. So, Labour at the moment are trying to argue, and have been for quite some time, but it sort of stepped up a pace last week, trying to argue that the Conservatives are trying to sell off the NHS to America in a Trump-first Brexit deal. Now, okay, let's have a look at this. So what evidence do Labour put forward? They put forward some previously redacted documents that they've managed to get unredacted, that apparently were actually uploaded online in the form that they produced them last week, after saying they just managed to get them redacted. They were apparently uploaded online at the end of October, so they weren't even particularly that new. They preceded the election campaign. But Labour pulled them out and said, right, look what I've got. Look what I've got as Jeremy Corbyn. I've got all this damning evidence. It's an indictment on the Tories. Let's look at what they're going to do. All that we actually saw in those documents were what the Americans were asking for. And anyone who knows anything about trade negotiations, who's followed any kind of trade negotiation in the news before, knows that the party being approached for a trade deal generally will ask for absolutely everything in that approach, knowing that they're going to get probably half of it. So they're asking for market access to the NHS. They're asking for drug companies to set prices. They're asking for all this stuff, but in reality, they probably know they're not getting it. Now, do we trust the Conservatives to not sell out the NHS to the US? That is a different story. And this is why I have a problem with Labour's strategy on the NHS. Because Labour are saying that this document, with the Americans coming forward and saying, oh, we would quite like access to all this stuff, is proof that the Conservatives are caving to the Americans. No, it's not. It's proof that the Americans are asking, the American trade partners are asking for these things. It's not proof that the Conservatives have given anything. But unfortunately, the thing that they do have on their side here is the Conservatives' reputation, and certain leading Conservative members of Parliament's reputation for saying things about the NHS which are not particularly helpful. Boris Johnson has gone on record before saying people would value the NHS more if they had to pay for it up front. You've got various members of the Cabinet who have been involved in organisations that actively want to privatise the NHS, or have quite openly themselves talked about privatising the NHS and the good it would bring for this country, in their view. So the Conservatives are on dodgy ground anyway. The problem with Labour, though, is Labour are somehow saying that this is proof the Conservatives have done this. No, it's not. It isn't any such thing. And the other problem that Labour has is every single election since, what? I think 92, or it could be 97. Tony Blair used the exact same line. We have 48 hours to save the NHS. We have so much time to save the NHS. We have this amount of time to save the NHS. Every single Labour leader has said exactly the same thing, and it's never borne out. And if anything, and this is the thing that really, really rubs me up the wrong way, and rubs quite a lot of Conservatives up the wrong way as well, and rightly so, I think, a majority of the existing privatisation within the NHS happened under Labour. Yes, the Conservatives started it. John Major did start it. He brought in the PFI initiative. Blair and Brown especially, massively accelerated it. Credit to Brown, because he did actually, before the 2010 election, say, look, we're going to have a look into this because this isn't working how we intended it to, and we're likely going to reverse it on review because it's just not working out how we planned. The Conservatives, when they came into power with the Lib Dems in coalition, continued PFI. So neither party is guiltless here. Neither party at all is guiltless here. And yes, I'm aware that we have a different Labour Party. This is a Jeremy Corbyn Labour Party. It's a very different outfit. But, let's not pretend Labour are not culpable in this. Let's not pretend Labour haven't actually done more, because they have, to privatise the NHS than any Conservative Party in recent history has done. It's just a matter of fact, unfortunately. So yeah, this is the main problem with the NHS discussion. And also, my other issue, my little pet peeve about the NHS discussion is the conversation about how to help the NHS is always who's going to throw the most money at it. Yes, the NHS does need a serious increase of funds. Of course it does. But what it does need, more than anything else, is serious restructuring. It needs to become a proper National Health Service, not a National Health Service split up into several local trusts with massive amounts of administration that is just unnecessary, and blocks that are just unnecessary, and computer systems that aren't integrated, and people can't access their patient records across the country. They have to have things faxed still or posted in some cases. It's insane that in 2019, if you have to go to hospital out of your catchment area, out of your trust's area, you have to get your record sent to the hospital by courier. That's nuts. That should not be happening at all. We live in an age where the DVLA can pull up your information wherever you are in the country at the tap of their fingertips, but the NHS can't get your patient notes, which are probably way more time sensitive than anything else. That's mental. That should be fixed tomorrow. We need to reduce the amount of bureaucracy in the NHS, because so much of it is unnecessary and it's just bloated. And let's divert those resources back to frontline staff. So yes, the NHS does need more money. Of course it does. But the answer isn't just keep throwing money at it. The answer is let's restructure it. Let's actually think about how this system is working. But no one's having that discussion. Everyone's having a discussion about, are you privatising the NHS, yes or no? And let's throw money at it. Let's have a race to see who can throw the most amount of money at it. That's not helping. It just isn't helping.